knowing the concept is fine, but how to articulate it? We must see the previous year question papers and see which topic is being repeated more number of times. Hello everyone, how are you all? My name is Mohit, and with me, you would be able to decode history optional, because today we would be covering what, why and how of history optional for UPSC examinations. So let's begin. Generally, students are feeling like some superheroes. Why? They have too much responsibility of choosing too many optionals, and from them they have to choose one optional. But they have very less time. So how to choose your optional and why history is a better optional than all other optionals, I would be talking about that. If you are still confused about which optional you should choose, I have an answer for you. What if I told you that history is one of the best optionals for UPSC due to scoring, interesting and overlapping nature of it with all the GS papers, be it prelims examinations or mains examinations. So let's break it down. What all we would be covering in this lecture? First of all, why history is a better optional. Why I have written a better optional here? Because it is you that makes any optional best. It is a you aspirant that makes any optional best, because all optionals are good. But why history is a better optional, we would be talking upon that issue. Secondly, how it overlaps with prelims and GS. Because you must be aware that in prelims also you are reading history, in mains also you are covering historical facts and figures, and when you choose an optional which has overlapping of these subjects, then you have an edge so that you can score more in that area. Thirdly, the best books and resources for covering history optional in a short time but in an effective manner. We would be looking at that. Then lastly, how to write high scoring answers in history optional so that you can fetch more marks and you can impress your examiner. So let's start our first topic. Why history is a better optional? First of all, it is very highly overlapping with prelims and GS papers because it saves time. If you are reading history for prelims and you are reading history for GS1 also, means 50% of your syllabus has been already covered. Now you can focus on some value addition things so that will help you in the optional subject. Secondly, no need for special background, anyone can master it. For other subjects like zoology, botany, you have to be masters or bachelors in those subjects to better understand those subjects. But history can be understood by anyone if you have a little interest in knowing the stories of kings and empires. You can cover it very easily. Moreover, if you look at the third point, the static and predictable nature of this paper. Because unlike other optionals like PubEd and PSIR, it has nothing to do much about current affairs. You can cover it statically and it is a predictable paper. Almost 70% paper is being repeated in history optional. So that a static portion can be memorized and can be structured in a way that you can answer any question that is being asked to you. Number 4, it helps in essay and interview. Why? Because it helps us to build a broad perspective, opinions about a king, about a dynasty. So that will help you in your interview paper, and also you can quote those things in your essay paper. Let's discuss about the Ashoka's policy of Dhamma. How Ashoka transformed his policy from Bhedi Ghos to Dhamma Ghos. Bhedi Ghos was military conquest, but after that he transformed his policy into Dhamma Ghos. That means intellectual conquest. So that way you can quote in this essay paper also this story or this reference which can help you to score more. Coming to the fifth point, scoring with a good strategy. Unlike vague humanities subjects, history allows you to master all the things and you can score very well by keeping a good hold over the subject. Fine. If you have stories, If you love stories, you love analysis, you like to build some patterns, history is the subject for you. Because history is a subject where you can hit the three birds with single stone. What are those three birds? The prelims, GS, and also the essay paper. So that's why history is a better option. Moving forward, we must look how it overlaps with the prelims and GS papers. First of all, how history saves your time in GS. Be it prelims, GS paper 1, GS paper 2 or GS paper 4, in every paper you can see some overlapping things from the syllabus of prelims or mains. In prelims, there's ancient history, there's medieval history, and also there's a modern history. Apart from that, there's culture also. Now, 20 to 25 questions in history paper or the GS paper 1 of prelims are from history section from these subjects. So if you prepare for history optional, these things will be very handy for you and you can score marks in prelims paper. Then, as you might be knowing, in GS paper 1, modern India, world history and culture are being asked, where 50% of the paper consists of history portion. So, not only your prelims, but also in the GS paper 1, you can score around 50% of that paper if you are having a good knowledge or good hold over history optional subject. Talking about GS paper 2, the post-independence events, governance, foreign policies, these all things require historical backgrounds and historical study. If you are aware of these facts, you can help to score yourself in GS2 as well, GS3 or optional paper. Then talking about GS paper 4, that is the ethics paper, historical examples of leaders, morality, like of Mahatma Gandhi ji, Swami Vivekananda, Subhash Chandra Bose. You can quote them in GS paper 4 and that knowledge can be helpful in GS 1, 2 or 4 or your optional paper. Fine. If we look at the key statistics from the previous papers, in 2023, a prelims examination, we saw almost 15 plus questions from the history. In 2022 prelims paper, we saw 20 plus questions from the history itself. So from this fact, we can see that how much history is important in prelims as well as mains. Now, when you realize that GS1 paper of mains has 50% content from history, your reaction would be like this. And yes, I'm talking straight facts. Moving forward, let us look at best books and resources for history optional. What are the essential book list? When we talk about ancient and medieval history, we must make our base from R.S. Sharma and Satish Chandra. When we read modern history, we must make our base as Bipin Chandra and Spectrum. Spectrum for modern history. Now you are reading the same book for prelims also, mains also, and now you can help yourself in history option as well. For the world history, you can cover your subjects from the book Normal Louis or Arjun Dev. Talking about post-independence period, the book that becomes handy is Bipin Chandra, India Since Independence. And when we talk about culture, you can focus upon Nitin Singhania, the CCRT website, that is the cultural website. You can pick up some specific topics and go for it. Because in optional paper, we require analytical skills. First, knowing the concept is fine, but how to articulate it? We must see the previous year question papers and see which topic is being repeated more number of times. So we must prepare some 2 to 3 pager notes from that so that we can handle the question very well. Okay, now let's move forward. How to write high scoring mains answers. How to write high scoring mains answers. So we would be looking upon answer structure, that is introduction, body and conclusion. Now you would be happy like this my friend here who is knowing how to write history optional answer because it is about storytelling, arguments and maths. If you have a good hold over them and if you even don't have a good hold over them, you can trust us. I will make sure that you are good at those things. Now introduction. What should the introduction be like? If a question is being asked to you about 1857 revolt, you can define or introduce the context. For example, the revolt of 1857 was the first organized resistance to British rule. You can start with a straight fact so that the examiner must know that you are well aware of the fact and the event. Talking about the body of the answer. In the body, you must use a structure, a social, political, economical, and administrative effect of 1857 revolt. You can use headings, subheadings, maps, and tables. Whenever you have to compare, like if the question arises, compare the later Vedic age with early Vedic age, be it political or economic comparison, you can make a table and you can compare all the facts about political, economical, and social facts of those periods. Moreover, you can add timelines, causes, events, consequences. These headings will give a structured approach to your answer, and the examiner would know that you are well aware of all the facts and you know how to articulate the answer. Moving on to the conclusion, you must keep a focus on how much you can relate it to the current things. Example, lessons from our past revolutions for democracy today. How we must learn from 1857 revolt that what are the situations when a revolt can happen, and how the governments of today with the way of doing welfareism can avert from those revolts. So in conclusion, you can relate it to the current so that the examiner gets an idea that not only the past, you are well aware about the present situation as well. So combination of these things, introduction, a body, and conclusion would make your answer very much rewarding. And in this subject, we will be working on that only. Now, I will show you that how to make answers stand out. How you can make your answers stand out. Now, here is a copy of Shruti Sharma, rank 1 of 2021 UPSC CSE. Now, this copy here is of GS1. GS1 yani ki history paper. Now see how she is writing. The question is, ancient India shows a distinct development of a rich regional variety of water structure. Illustrate means they are asking that how in ancient India history there was developed water structure. So what she is doing, she has beautifully given her introduction that we talked about. Then she is doing a timeline as a heading and subheadings, and she is going ancient history timeline wise. She has quoted the Harappan culture first. Then she might be quoting the Mauryan Empire, then Gupta period, Satavahanas, post-Guptas, and going to the Mughal and so on. So this is GS1. You have to prepare history to this extent itself. Now I will show you that what extra mile you need to go for history optional. Now if you have reached at this stage, you might be having an idea of subject already. But let me compare this same situation with some other subject, sociology. You might not be aware of this thing in the GS and in sociology or any other option, PubEd, PSIR. You have to read new concepts. You have to revamp all your knowledge and then apply it. But here it is different. You are well aware of the facts already and now you have to just mold them according to the optional demand so that, let's look at it. This is a history optional paper. You might be able to see this is a map. People have very much doubts about maps, that how to solve them. It is very easy. See, this is the location 1 and they have asked, it is a prehistoric site. Now in the ancient history itself, whenever you are reading ancient history, you must be knowing about that in Kashmir there was a site, a prehistoric site, Burthum, where was a pit dwelling found. A skull or bones of master and their dogs were found. It is a knowledge of prelims that you might be aware of. A similar knowledge is being used in the optional subject, so it is not that much difficult or not that much cramming subject. You can score very high in history optional. With that knowledge itself, you can write 4 to 5 lines, and that she has done, and she has scored one of the highest marks in history optional. Then there is a question in history optional that discuss the nature of Ashoka's Dhamma's policy. See how beautifully she has written the introduction stating about Ashoka's Dhamma policy, and then with the help of thinkers, R.S. Tripathi, J.F. Fleet, she has substantiated and backed. So in optional, you just have to use a thinker's perspective, a scholar's perspective to show that which theory is backed by which scholar and what their views are. This extra mile you have to go. And when you have already done GS1 paper of history, prelims history, you have already covered. So now you have to just go some extra mile for that extra work so that you can score more in history optional in less time but in an efficient manner. So that's about history optional. Now we must be knowing that what we should not do, because everyone tells you that what we should do, but no one tells you that what we should not do, what we should avoid. What are the common mistakes that we must avoid? Don't make these mistakes. Mugging up everything instead of understanding themes. I always say history is like a story. You have to understand the timeline, the chronology. If you go on mugging up, you won't get anything. If you go on mugging up, you won't get anything. So always go with the understanding the themes. Moreover, we must not ignore the world history. GS1 overlap is there, and in optional subject, there is a special focus on world history. So you should not ignore world history. Coming on to the third mistake, we must not indulge it not practicing PYQs, because in optional, the biggest weapon we have is PYQ, previous year questions. So if you have the knowledge of PYQs and those similar themes are being repeated again and again, you must have a good hold over them. So in these lectures, in optional lectures, my special focus would be on the structuring of PYQs, so that you can rely on those structures and you can score more in less time in an efficient manner. Now, the biggest mistake that people do is skipping answer writing. That must not be your goal. You should always practice answer writing so that you improve your skills day by day. Because Sachin Tendulkar was not made Sachin Tendulkar in just one day. He was once out on zero. So you must practice in the net so that you do not bleed in the field. That must be your goal. Now, I give a pro tip to you. Treat history like a story, not a list of facts. History is all about stories, and if you are thinking that history is just memorization, UPSC would look like this upon you. You would be just like a joker. So don't be a joker. Choose your optional subject wisely so that you can have an overlap over it and you can get good marks, be it prelims, be it GS1 or history optional. So that was why history optional is a very good optional. It is a better optional, but my final tip for you is that history is more than dates. It's about connections, causes, impact, and master this, you will master UPSC. UPSC is all about recalling these things. Now, you can comment below any doubt, any queries, or any means like what's your biggest struggle while covering history. We will solve it together, and with me, you will get all these things in a very simpler manner, in an interactive manner. We will study a history like a story with memes and with images and with all other things. So you might be aware that we are running history optional batches. You can come, you can meet us. If you have any queries, you can come to the center and also take part in history optional so that you can score better in GS1, in prelims, as well as your optional, because mains is that gate which helps you to clear these examinations. If you score well in mains, you will get a good rank. So thank you very much for joining. Please choose history optional to get a good rank and clear this examination. Thank you so much. Take care.